Hello, Tom Lavecchia here with the latest edition of the New Theory podcast. Doing something a little different today, a little different type of guest. Somebody known for, now we're going on 30 years, maybe 30 plus
Too
years.
much disclosure, by the way.
Yeah, I was going to say, meanwhile, he looks 30 years old to begin with, which is great. Our next guest, Darwin Roman, is an entrepreneur. He's done different type of career paths in his life. He's getting more into publication. He's always had his hands in like media and marketing, and he does a whole bunch of other stuff. And one of the things one of the reasons why I asked Darwin to come on today is he's also an expert networker. And obviously pre-pandemic, things were very easy to kind of navigate and set stuff up. Now it's a little more difficult, but he's a master at it. Darwin Roman, welcome to the New Theory podcast. How you doing today,
I'm doing excellent. If I was any better, I'd be twins. Thanks so much for having me here, Tom.
I love that.
It's exciting to see you again. And you look just as young and youthful as you did many years ago when we met. Just saying that right now.
Yeah, and just 50 pounds heavier. Okay, so probably actually 70 pounds heavier. All right, so with that being said, though, you are a return guest. If you're an old head, which there are some around, New Theory podcast, you were back in, I think, in 19, correct?
Yeah, maybe a little more than that.
Yeah, right. It was before the pandemic.
It was before the pandemic.
And we did over cigars.
Yes.
In Barrister.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So a little different kind of focus. So first, let's set us up with, give us a little bit about your background and a little bit about you.
Sure. Well, I mean, I grew up in Jersey. Grew up in the town of Roosevelt Park.
Yeah.
And nice town to grow up in, I got to tell you that. A great town, a middle income, blue collar, and it's still that way today, which I love. And I saw my family over there. And then after high school, joined the military, was in the Marine Corps for a little bit, 4 years actually, right during 9/11.
Yeah.
And then got into the fitness industry. After the fitness industry, decided it wasn't me.
Well, I don't want to gloss over the service. That's super important.
Okay.
So did you get called in? Did you volunteer? How did that work?
No, so I enlisted in '98.
Okay.
Was shipped out, went to boot camp, did all that part, and then my contract ended in 2002. So I didn't re-enlist.
Got it.
So it was right before things really happened, right? And then
you were a Marine, correct?
I was in the Marine Corps.
God bless. Congratulations
Thanks,
on
appreciate
your
that.
service.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So it's been, thinking about it now, it's like over 20 years I've been.
But you know what's interesting, and I had Kevin Interdonato on, the guy who directed Bastard Sons. He's a vet, and I do meet a lot of vets, and again, maybe because I'm not a vet and I have such appreciation for what you did and do, that a lot of guys gloss over it, like during interviews, and just kind of put as a little asterisk. Where to me, I guess if I did it, I don't know, but just thank you for that. And I appreciate it.
And thanks for not letting me gloss over it.
Yeah,
it is important. And this was a big point of a conversation, I would say, where it led up to certain parts of my life and also what I do now and who I am and my personality and my character. That all came from that, really.
And that's what I want to hear. So give us kind of post-service.
Yeah, so then after that post-service, went into the fitness industry, working for major fitness chains like LA Fitness and Crunch. Did that for about a decade, and then I decided to change it to financial services. And then when I started working with the bigger companies, Mass Mutual and companies like that, and I stayed in that business ever since 2010 up until today. And then between right when we met, around the pandemic, I started getting more involved in organizations and becoming more on the leadership side of those organizations, where I really sharpened my axe in the sense of networking and communicating, and also developing relationships with people, which I find that's one of the biggest skill sets that I've been able to develop, and I feel anybody could develop with a little bit of work and effort.
Like that.
But that also pay off, because one of the things I've learned in my entrepreneurial journey here is that relationships are the most valuable currency in any business.
I agree.
Right? I mean, look what happened. We learned in the pandemic, things happen, things change. We learned that the stock market, real estate markets, those change.
Yeah.
But if you maintain your relationships, those pay dividends no matter what.
Yeah.
However, the investment falls on you as to what you're going to invest in those relationships.
Good point. Right. So I guess one of the things that, and I do believe it. I do believe in that wholeheartedly. However, what happens is when things get tough, I always say, tough times don't build character, reveals it.
Yep.
So like kind of during the pandemic, you kind of learned who your friends were and who they weren't, and unfortunately, we all kind of come across people that we thought were our friends, whether we get hurt financially or physically or emotionally, however that is, right? But one of the things, though, that I want to ask you about in terms of relationship, I do believe that is your main currency. I do agree with you on that. However, sometimes technology or other stuff gets in the way. Meaning, I want to do business with you. You're a taxi. I just want to do business with you. I love you. You have a taxi service, but it's hard to not use Uber. It's easier. It's frictionless. That kind of stuff. So when do relationships work, and when is that currency? And when is it challenged?
Yeah, you know what? It's challenge. You're right. I would say during the pandemic, a lot of people learned that part, right? Embracing technology so that, yes, you have to be able to open the door somehow, and having your current relationships may not do it anymore. So you got to branch out. That's the way I saw it. So embracing different methods of breaching the door, so to speak, is the way to go.
Got it.
But then you start realizing that doing that method, you can also still build relationships too. So it's, some people call it high touch, low tech, as opposed to high tech, low touch.
Yeah.
You could do either or. I mean, I think they both work. And if you're going to leverage tech, don't forget that the touch is still important, right?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you could DM somebody, but then what's the difference between DM somebody, then later on seeing them in person, possibly, or going out to actually meeting with them in person, like we're doing right now, like having a coffee, I mean, developing beyond the Zoom call. I think I think people also let go of that sense of virtual reality and saying, hey, listen, this is what the world we're going to live in going forward. No, we went back to normal now. Yeah. You can have a hybrid, right, to make more efficient. I mean, my efficiency is different now. I mean, I can handle a lot more appointments during a week by doing something virtual. But then you still got to be able to go out there and communicate and connect.
Well, so I'm on both sides. I do sell for our companies, and I also get sold to. I am a relationship guy. Hopefully, we get cigars together soon.
Yeah.
Spend some time. But with that said, but I'm also okay with Zoom.
Yeah.
I'm used to it. Is in person back, or is there still a little Zoom hangover?
There's still Zoom hangover. I think it's also depending on what you're trying to do, right? What you're trying to accomplish. If it's an initial meeting, sometimes could go Zoom.
Yeah.
A second or follow-up meeting can go more live. Some people still like to see that. Then also depending on what kind of business you're in. I mean, depending on what kind of service or product or deliverable, right?
You brought a good point. Now, you've worked in many different areas, so you can speak to it intelligibly. Give me kind of one or two industries that, Tom, I'll acquiesce. Zoom that. If it's a SaaS space, $19 a month, and you got to sell 50 of them, that guy should Zoom, or who should, always be in person. The real estate agents. Give me kind of like maybe industries or dynamics where that lean towards Zoom friendly, which even a network like yourself sign off on, and what should still be in person?
Yeah, I feel like there's a division between, or at least a clear line between tangible and intangible, right? So, for example, you said real estate. That's a big one. I found, I give a lot of credit to realtors who survived the pandemic and they couldn't necessarily do open houses or tours because it's like, how do you sell a house? You really can't show the person the house, right? And as a buyer, I mean, the reality is like, do I really want to buy a property I'm going to live in without actually feeling it and seeing it? Probably not. Yeah. Similar to a vehicle, I'd rather test drive it than just give me a virtual tour of the car. Yeah. Right. The way I feel like that would be the way to go. But then again, you and I have a certain age group where we've been conditioned like that. So I don't know if that's a factor, but I think it still comes down to certain sense of logic where people want to see it and touch it, versus a deliverable service like marketing, like print ads, like insurance that can be explained in a virtual setting. That can be done too, as long as you're professional and you can't just show up on your Zoom call on a tank top and in a hat and say, all right, here we go.
So you being a networker, an in-person networker, and then having to go virtual for like 2 years, did you adjust well and kind of were okay, or did it hurt your business a little bit because people tend to like you better in person?
No, it was all about getting the right equipment. That's the other thing too.
I remember that you reached out to me.
Yes, I was like, dude, what do I do?
About
I was like, do I get headphones? Do I get a light? Like, I was just like so gone because I was like, I don't know how to set this up anymore. I was like, because then at that point it was about giving your best presentation possible through a screen, right, and being able to transfer that energy, right. And I was like, how the hell am I going to do that? And I think eventually I figured it out. I eventually figured it out, and it ended up working out too. But I was definitely itching to get back out, and I remember doing that. And around 2021, as things started picking back up again, like, all right, it's time to go back out again. Got it.
So one of the things, again, you didn't even gloss over, you didn't mention, which I wish you did, I'm going to mention it now, is you're head of the Latino Chamber of Commerce. Give us kind of why you got into that service.
Sure. So I'm president and CEO of the Latino Chamber of Commerce. And I'll give you the quick 30-second history lesson on that. That organization started in 2015 as the Union County Latino American Chamber of Commerce.
Interesting.
Right? And it was because I was looking, because at the behest of my my business coach, really, of my financial firm, he said, "Listen, you got to start meeting more people. You got to start figuring out targeting certain demographics."
Yeah.
He's like, "All right, Darwin, you're a veteran.
Yeah.
You're Latino. Like, these are the things you got to look at." I said, "All right, fine." Started looking around. I was like, "I wonder if there's a one around the area where I grew up in." And there was one. I just didn't know.
Yeah.
So somebody said, "Hey, contact this person." I contacted that person. He was a founder at the time.
Yeah.
And then I said, "Hey, how do I become a member?" He was like overjoyed. He's like, "Sure, please become a member."
Yeah.
So I became a member. And then after that, again, going back to my coach, all right, check. I became a member. Now what? He was like, "All right, now you got to figure out how to get involved." I said, "What?" So then he says, "I got to be on a board." I'm like, "All right."
Yeah.
So I asked the founder again, "Hey, how do I get on a board?" He goes, "Absolutely, come on." Like, it was like everything I asked, he said yes, because it's hard to find people to volunteer their time like that. So then I got on the board, and then from there took off in terms of building relationships, getting to know more people, and then that's where they set my platform, where I went from being a little bit known to a lot more known. I would say, at least in the local area. And then that founder decided he didn't want to really be involved anymore. So in 2017, he goes, "Hey, listen, I'm restructuring the organization. Yeah. Do you want to be president?" Wow. I'm like, "All right." I was like, "I have no idea what that means, but okay, cool, let's do it." Yeah. So I said yes, right? And then 2018 started my first calendar year as president of that organization. 2019 kept it going. 2020, pandemic hits, right? And I'm like, "Oh shit, now what we do?" Because we can't even do events now. And that was all live events that was driving that organization to bring people out, to get memberships. So we go virtual. That was a struggle, especially after a while, because guess what? Everybody's going virtual now too. Every organization did the same thing. So we're like, "Oh man," so we're competing with like at this point, space, virtual space with everybody. And then fast forward 2021, that was the point that caught your attention. Yeah. August 2021, we decided to do an event, a live event, because I started coming. I saw things opening up, and I saw the state saying, "Hey, listen, we can start opening up now, having people out there, whatever." But a lot of the other organizations were playing it safe. They were being more conservative, and that's where I saw the opportunity. I said, "All right, well, as they're holding back, we're going to push forward." I said, "Who's with me?" And I started recruiting people, because some of my people.
When did I speak at your event?
You did. Oh, that was before the pandemic. That was in 2018.
Oh wow.
The spring of 2018 and spring of 2019.
Damn good.
Yeah, Digital Marketing Forum. That was a Raw Way.
Yeah, I remember that.
On the Hamilton stage.
Funny story, Julian, you'll appreciate this. Darwin asked me to come, so I come. And he initially, if I'm not mistaken, had me like top billing, last speaker, top billing. He asked me to get a colleague. I happen to have Jeremy Ryan Slate, who is kind of my godfather for podcasting. He kind of mentored me in podcasting. So Jeremy comes in, and Jeremy, respectfully, he has, especially at the time, had much more like media clout than I did. So I'm like, I can get you Jeremy. So he got excited because he knew of Jeremy, I believe. So it was kind of a great fit. But then he gave Jeremy top billing, and I was second billing. I'm like, that's fucked up. But I still love you anyway. I'm like, I finally get to like highlight my own. I highlighted before, but I was like, I stopped doing all that. So I was like excited again. I'm like, well, I'll be top billing, excited, blah, blah. And sure enough, he puts me in the second seat. But if I'm going to lose out to anybody, it's going to be Jeremy, so I'm good.
There you go.
All right. So, okay. So now I want to get to a little more didactic where people can learn from your experience, right?
Sure.
So the first part is, let's bucket this, business owners, real estate agents, even somebody in the career looking to network. Let's first talk about the attendees. Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm Italian, look for social clubs, maybe Chamber of Commerce, Junior League. I don't even know if that's male or female. I'm just trying to give me some of the organizations people should start looking out for first, maybe based off of, I want to start attending events.
Yeah. So for anyone, a Chamber of Commerce is always a great start, because that includes every single industry. Yeah. Right. And then depending on your industry, then you could really kind of drill it down to more verticals. Yeah. Like, for example, a real estate organization. Yeah. Or a mortgage organization, or something or an organization that has to do with manufacturing, right? Or maybe you're in the
go for the field, like, so hey, I'm a person. Let me look at my maybe professional societies,
right,
and organizations.
For example,
first.
I gave
first
this
maybe social,
right. Okay. I remember I gave this example to a person who was in like a medical field, of medical device sales, things like that. Yeah, and sometimes nurses were great door openers for him. And I said, okay. Did you realize there's something called the National Association of Hispanic Nurses?
Oh, wow.
That you can be a member of as an affiliate.
That's
you don't have to be a nurse yourself. You don't have to be Hispanic. You don't have to be, nothing. It's like, just
fair enough.
Join. And I said, you can go to their events, start networking with them. He was like, oh wow, it was like gold. And
Yeah,
I was like,
as a device rep, that's huge.
I was like, so there you go. There's just an example of if you do a little bit of research, you'll find out that there's organizations you would never even thought of. I mean, I just learned about an Asian American law enforcement one in Jersey that I didn't know about either too.
Yeah.
So it's just things like that you can tap into.
Yeah.
But by the way, I don't like people thinking they need to be boxed in based on who their identity is.
Good point.
Go outside of it.
Yeah.
I belong to an Asian American real estate organization.
Nice.
I've gone to their events and they love seeing me because they love the diversity.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But I've seen those same folks go to Hispanic ones.
Yeah.
So don't let those titles get the best of you, or screw up your headspace thinking,
point.
okay, I can't go there. I'm not this or I'm not that. Doesn't matter. Trust me. They're a good organization. They're gonna let you come in and be a member.
Got it.
So if anything, you're gonna stick out. Be different. You can't. That's the old saying. You can't be outstanding unless you stand out, right? So be different. Go in there and be maybe the minority in that group because it's gonna work out in your favor.
Now the other part is now we talk about like kind of professional development. Now I want to talk more about the entrepreneurs, intrapreneurs, the business owners, the real estate agents, the insurance agents, and so forth that are looking to cultivate maybe customers, not just build relationships. What would you recommend there?
There's also opportunities to be able to be in the front line, so to speak, with communities.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of these communities have certain town events. That's another thing. Now, this is a little more sensitive, but depending on your affiliation, there's also political groups you can be involved with too. Where, by the way, those open other doors, and those could bring customers. So some of those people are customers too. I feel that everybody is a customer to a point until you qualify them, right?
Yeah.
But until I actually have a conversation with you, I don't know. You could be a customer, right? Or you could lead me to my next customer.
Good point.
Right? So, but it's all about thinking outside the box in that respect. But even those local community groups, there's opportunities there too.
Did you ever have a disaster of an event?
Yes.
Do tell.
Yes.
Give us your worst.
My worst in terms of attendance.
Just whatever.
Whatever. Which one was the worst?
Yeah, you have one big one planned and like nobody showed up.
Oh God, right. Not the worst, but I would say the least attended. Probably recently, most recently. Okay. Yeah, I did one. You know what? Because I have high expectations of what I want to do, and to most people say, 40 people was good. I was like, no. Like I was expecting 80. I was expecting 90. And
Got it.
So I hit 50% recently at an event of what matter of fact, the event that I told you about that I was doing 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
yeah. So I did it, and I was like, personally, I was disappointed. Wow. But here's the funny part: everybody within the event, they loved it. All they did was they raved about the food and they raved about the venue and how cool it was to connect with people. So their experience wasn't affected with my attitude about it, and I definitely didn't let my attitude, filter in. Yeah. But at the end of the night, I didn't feel good about it. I was like, man, this was not what I expected.
Got it. Now, okay. So now let's get to the person watching this, and they're like, you know what? I don't know. They want to host an event, right?
Yeah.
And let's just assume that they want to host an event in their professional space, like their area, but they have to approach, say, a restaurant. They got to, they like give us like the model. Like you approach a restaurant, do I sell tickets? Do I pay out of pocket? Do I have sponsorships? Like give us like maybe sometimes a restaurant will relax their fees because you're getting new people. Give us kind of like the start, like 101.
Sure.
Hey, how to set up an event and the dynamics of it.
Sure. So step one, identify the venue.
Okay.
Right. A venue that makes sense for the market that you're in.
Good point.
Right. So location, the type of venue it is. So the venue is very important. Start a relationship with them.
Yeah.
Then from there, find out the availability of the venue.
Good point.
Right. And then during the week. Now, a tip that I would say for a business event, it's during the week. It's not on the weekend.
Correct.
So either the big nights are usually Tuesday.
Yeah.
And higher ones are Wednesday, Thursdays.
And I experienced recently that a restaurant was like, hey, I'm closed on Mondays. If you want to do it on Monday, I give you a great deal because I just need a skeleton crew.
Yeah, exactly. It depends on the venue. So you'll find out. So maybe a Tuesday night, maybe a Wednesday night, maybe a Thursday night.
Good point.
Right? And then from there, finding out what you're trying to offer. Is it going to be open bar? It's going to be food included. From there, you're going to figure out your pricing. And of course, you hosting an event, the ultimate goal is not to come out of pocket, right? So you're looking to then design sponsorship packages based on the cost of your event and at different levels. To levels where they're attainable to most people.
Got it.
Level 1, 2, and 3, based on what your price is.
Then you would go to businesses that want to kind of get to your group.
Sure, because the question is, what's in it for them?
Yeah.
Is that audience the type of audience that they could probably offer their services to?
Got it.
Then that makes sense. Sure, then they're willing to write you a check to be in the room, and then find out what the benefits are going to be for them with that sponsorship package.
Nice.
Then ticket sales. Well, ticket sales are optional depending if you're going to cover all through sponsors. Then maybe you make it free to fill in the room.
Yeah.
Or if not, you make it a very minimal price to be able to offset some costs too. But it also gives something to the attendee. Maybe it is a drink ticket. By the way, in terms of drinks, I will say this. Some people get nervous about having an open bar. I understand that, by the way. Yeah. Okay, things can happen with alcohol, right? Things can happen. However, open bar is a big draw, so I get that. Totally get that part. The second part, though, don't think that cash bar is also a negative. It's not. Yeah. People will show up if you have a very slick marketing campaign and a good reason as to why to show up. Yeah. Cash bar won't. Matter of fact, I'm going to an event tonight that I'm going to go. I'm pretty sure they're going to sell out. Yeah. It's a cigar event, by the way.
Where?
In New Milford. I'll give you the info when we're done. Yeah. And it's a BYOB because it's a cigar place. Yeah. So, right? So, I mean, you're still buying your own stuff. Good point. You have to buy cigars, right? But people are going to show up because they have a sommelier talking about the cigar. It's going to be cool.
See, that's kind of a hack a little bit because let's just say, like, you decide to have it at a cigar event. You're going to get cigar people. So let's just say it's male-centered. It could be life insurance. It could be, I don't know, something that, like, maybe a scotch, a whiskey. Mm-hmm. And then you don't have to worry about, like, you'll have light food because you're not going to sit down and eat heavy at a cigar place,
you're not,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
You could probably easily find a liquor sponsor because you're going to want to get to those guys.
Yeah.
How do you go about getting liquor sponsors? Do you go to the distributor? Do you find local distilleries? What's your plan?
Usually local distributors or more so local stores.
Yeah.
Local stores will be easier to get to because you have the owner right there. Yeah. And they're willing to say, hey, look, I can give 4 bottles, 5 bottles, whatever it is. You don't need much, especially if it's hard liquor. You don't need that much.
Is there ever, I had some bad experiences that I heard of, where sometimes you'll do an event and it's like there is a component of like a bar guarantee or guarantee for the restaurant.
Right.
And it's like, hey, it's free to come, but like they can maybe purchase some food or some drinks and there's like a bar guarantee. Have you ever had a situation where you had a guarantee, it didn't hit and you were on the hook? Or give us about if they ask for a guarantee.
Yeah. You know what? That's why for the bar guarantee, that's why I get away with, if you're going to do open bar, it's a flat fee. So just take care of it that way. If not, just you guarantee a certain amount of people, minimum, right? And they know that at least they're going to make money on the cash bar. That's all. But make it reasonable. Yeah. That's the other thing. Don't over promise and under deliver either, right? And say, hey, look, I got 200 people coming, then 50 show up. You got a problem.
So what do you want to be on the hook for an event, and what do you not want to be on the hook for an event?
Food. I think food, because food is the easiest like line item on any kind of invoice for a restaurant.
Good point.
And then with food, you don't have to get crazy fancy. Yeah. I mean, I remember one time, my last event I did in November for my magazine, it was like chicken cutlets and pasta and some salads. Yeah. And that was it. And that was really it. And some bread.
Okay. So we kind of shared a lot and appreciate the specifics about doing events. Sure. I kind of want this to be something didactic. Yeah. And you should have called me. I would have talked you out of it, but you got into publishing. I would have talked you out of it. Walk us through that.
Yeah. So that's interesting. I started that in the tail end of 2022. Yeah. And it's a magazine called Real Producers Magazine.
I think it's a dope name.
Real Producers Magazine. The concept started in 2015 out of Indianapolis. Yeah. But the actual publication is owned by a corporation called N2 Publishing that has multiple magazines. Nice. And so, but they came out with this product in 2015, but they've been around since for 20 years now. Yeah. And a friend of mine who actually ran the Philadelphia Real Producers publication was asked by corporate, hey, do you know anybody within Jersey? Because we're looking for more franchisees, this and that. And then my name popped up and him looking around. And then he was like, hey, listen,
because you've been networking.
Yeah, and he remembered me networking.
Julian.
There you go. And he was like, hey, listen, I have this opportunity. I think you'd really be great at it. And he just laid it out for me, the platform. I go, you know what? This makes sense. I said, I have nothing to do or know about publishing. I said, but yes, I do know a lot of people in real estate. Yes, I do know how to offer a service and all its benefits and try to get somebody to close and it's understand it's good for their benefit. I know how to build relationships. That's part of it too. I said, okay. So I started looking at the platform and I said, all right, I'm in. And then I started tail end of 2022. And then my first issue came out in July of 2023. So I'm just coming up on my 12-month anniversary.
Oh, wow.
In July.
How's it been going?
It's going. Yeah. It's definitely, it's been a roller coaster. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. It's definitely different. It's a different dynamic of what I'm used to in financial
Ad
services.
sales are tough.
Yeah, and in terms of financial services, it's a way different dynamic. And it's just the back end stuff, the accounting stuff, and it's just crazy like that. But it has been fun though. What I do see is like the blossoming of relationships within my magazine partners and some of these realtors that is actually developing into business. That's exciting to see. Nice. And then also the hype, the buildup, the branding that's happening on social media when we do have these photo shoots for these realtors. Yeah. They're super excited, and they should be. Especially, I know we were talking about before earlier about this whole lawsuit thing with them, right? And I talked with them about it. They gave me their opinions, but I said, listen, there's a reason why, if anything, more than ever, this magazine needs to be around. Correct. Because this is the one of the few publications out there that's involved in media that's spreading a positive message about the real estate practitioner and the home buying process. I said, so let's keep this magazine going. I said, let's keep this magazine going because this is one of the things that's making you guys look great, which you deserve to. I said, screw the rest of the freaking white noise out there. Yeah. I was like, it's all bullshit anyway. I said, you guys do a hard job, and this magazine shows the rest of the world that you guys deserve it.
To summarize, so it's a magazine that only goes up to 500 people, correct?
Top 500
but
realtors
they go
in
to
Central
top
Jersey.
500 realtors in that area. So advertisers want to get in with those top producers, whether you be a mortgage broker, could be a fellow real estate agent, looking at a network.
You could be a roofer.
Anything. So I do like that concept. And are you still selling insurance?
Yes.
So you do a lot of different things. Walk us through why you still sell insurance.
Well, because I still have my clients from the past, right? And then people still identify me like that, even on social media, right? But I still able to have those conversations anyway throughout life. I mean, regardless. I mean, because a lot of these realtors that I do meet with, they have personal needs too in terms of planning. And I work with a full service financial planning firm. It's not just insurance; it's investments too.
Right. That's right.
So if they need to open up some kind of retirement plan, I'm there to help.
So do you use your networking to feed your funnel for, so for example, hey, I have and I won't get in trouble with your franchise, but, hey, I have my franchise and, realtor signs on to advertise or somebody advertises, but then that kind of transfers over to your funnel for life insurance. Do you kind of do you do it that way, or is it more like church and state? Hey, I kind of keep it separate. Like, I want to know, how do you fill your funnel on both sides of the business?
Yeah, sir. No, at first I serve. First I serve and make sure their needs are met in the sense of with the magazine, that's taken care of. But in that process, the relationship builds.
Have a discussion. You talk.
Have a discussion and say, what else? And then somebody asks, what else do you do? I noticed that your name is Life Insurance Mercenary on Instagram. I was like, let me tell you about that. And then all of a sudden go into that. And the reality is that I usually don't approach the realtor directly for that kind of planning. I let them know that their clients would highly benefit from meeting me, because they just went through the longest, most strenuous process of buying their first home. Yeah, good point. It's important for them to protect it. And I said, if you care about them the way I'll care about them, you should have them introduced to me. Love it. And then through that conversation, they go, hey, you know what? Maybe I should talk to you. I said, well, let's have a conversation, right?
So you do a few different things. Do you like diversity and like, hey, maybe one part of your business is going great, one's not so great, or opposite, you eventually see yourself maybe focusing in and leaning in on just one area?
No, I like the diversity. Yeah. I think it just maintains me fluid, and because there's going to be opportunities regardless, and then people just like doing business with the people they like and trust. Yeah. And so I can still be that resource. Although if I feel that I'm getting overwhelmed, then I could just leverage my team and say, hey, listen, this is part of my team. Don't think you're not working with me. You are. And I'm going to introduce you to some of my team members that could help bring you to the finish line like I would have anyway. I'm just a little too busy to get you there, but let's get you started. Yeah. Right?
Love it. All right, we're going to wrap up. If there was one piece of advice for somebody looking to start networking more in 2024, post-pandemic, what's that one piece of advice before we wrap up?
Go all in.
Okay.
And don't be afraid.
Love it.
Yeah.
All right, how can we find you, Darwin?
You can find me on Instagram at life_insurance_mercenary.
I like
also
that.
On Facebook, Darwin Roman. And you can follow me also on my magazine at Central Jersey Rural Producers on Instagram as well.
That's dope. God bless. Well, welcome. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the pod. It's only been, 6-7 years in the making.